What's up, guys? My name is Fari, and I build systems that remove bottlenecks within businesses. And I've been documenting my builds since the 1st of June 2025, going all the way up to the 1st of June 2026. And in today's video, I'm going to be going through why winning once is never enough, but winning twice is much better. And I've, been thinking about this for a very long time in terms of, what does it mean to win? What is the question of what does winning look like for me? And one of the things that I realized, just looking through back along my journey and just taking note of is that in times where I've won, I've somewhat celebrated too much, and that has ultimately led to loss of momentum. And I've been able to somewhat brush up on that in the sense that now, for example, I understand that when you win, you ultimately need to keep the momentum going, because this only means that you're not resting on your laurels. And I've been watching and reading a lot of podcasts which the greatest history's greatest founders, one of the concepts that they ultimately like to keep hold and to be true for them is never resting on your laurels. So it's, if you win, you ultimately need to go double, because that's where most people ultimately celebrate too much. And if you want to build something that is everlasting and something that ultimately transcends through decades, you ultimately need to understand that one win is simply not enough, because you understand that the mission that you're building for is far more important than one small win or one win. And that means that you're constantly innovating and iterating on the things that you're doing on a day to day, but not only on the things that you're doing, but the person that you're becoming as well. And I've been thinking specifically around this, that each and every single day that I become sharper, it means that it ultimately transcends into everything else. Because if I'm able to become the sharper operator, the sharper builder, the person that ingests a bunch of information and ultimately deploys that information, and it aids towards the execution there, then that ultimately means I'm trending upwards. I'm trending upwards, and it's a compounding mode that ultimately builds through time. It's never a thing that happens overnight, but it's somewhat of a thing that ultimately compounds over time. That, hey, each and every single day I'm learning, but I'm ultimately pushing the needle forward in what I'm doing. And getting the results ultimately means that I'm winning on, the invisible front, but that ultimately creates the visible results that everyone else does see. And that means, each and every single time, from reading and just ingesting a bunch of different information through different mediums, it means that I'm taking this information and I'm simply deploying it into what I'm doing and ideating on that as well, to basically come up with different ideas and recognize patterns as well. Because through that you realize that you somewhat get wins out of this, and through these wins that you ultimately do get, you need to make sure that you're not resting on them for too long, because that ultimately feeds into the momentum that you have built in order to get that win. And I've seen this to be true a lot recently, where I've realized that, hey, just because I've done something right or something has worked out, it doesn't mean that I need to somewhat rest on my laurels. It's more so becoming or understanding that I need to double down on that and make sure that I'm putting a lot more energy in time as well into that, such so that it can reach new heights that I may not have seen in that moment in time. And that means that each and every single day I'm just pushing the needle forward and making sure that we're resting on understanding that we never rest on our laurels, but we're constantly just pushing the needle forward each and every single day. And that means each and every single day when we don't feel like doing things, that we're ultimately just doing them, and that we're trending upwards, because each and every single day that we're building is an opportunity for us to create something new. And that requires a new level from us and also me, because it's just learning a bunch of different things that I can ultimately use to fuel the execution there, and making sure that each and every single day we're just ultimately trending upwards, and making sure that the lessons and the things that we're learning on a day to day ultimately aid us in terms of the execution there. And just making sure that each and every single day is not always going to be perfect, but we realize that resting on your laurels means that you're not moving, you're not making progress. And I don't want to do that. I want to make sure that even if we do get a win, that we're ultimately just moving the needle forward on a day to day. And yeah, today's going to be super short. Super short video. I just wanted to get that off of my mind, something on my mind for today's video. And pretty soon we will be hopping on back to the more tactical videos, and I'm super excited for that. So yeah, if you guys enjoy this video, make sure to check out X, LinkedIn, Instagram, and also my newsletter that I recently just rolled out. It's the first link in the description, and all the other ones are preceding that. And I will see you guys in the next video.